And we are live! Hello, puppies! And welcome back to another episode of the Isle of Series. Tonight is Isle of the Road Dogs. And joining us tonight to be talking a little bit about this term and kind of the stories that go behind it, I am pleased to welcome onto the show Unruly Simeon. Whip it! With his third ever face reveal, I might add, just coin the toss in there.
A face that was made for radio.
No. That is, no. I agree. No.
That's a big old nope.
So, hi. How are you doing?
Good evening. I was sitting here. I just finished rereading one of my favorite books. Ooh, and you froze. So I have to vamp for a minute. I've never had this happen before. I'll just show off a book. Look, it's Ironjaw and beautiful 9.8. So tonight I'm going to be discussing a very serious subject. Suppositories. When they should be used and the proper procedure for said usage. Now, if it's a cyanide suppository, you only have to use it the one time. So it doesn't really matter what procedure you use. All right. I'm not Kenny. I can't carry a show by myself. I don't even know if I'm live or not. But it says you're in the show. Everyone can see and hear you. What do y'all think about everything that's going on? I mean, surely there's a way that people of disparate sides can recognize their common humanity and realize that the things that we have in common are much greater than the things that tear us apart, wouldn't you reckon? But I'm pushing 60 and I ain't seen a shred of evidence for it yet.
Not exactly sure what happened. Sorry about that.
No, that's okay.
You just completely froze.
Your audience.
Yeah, no, we just both completely froze and we like look over to each other. We're like, who lost connection? And then we both went down. It was bad. Okay, hi. So, I will let you finish your thought because I know you were in the middle of talking.
No, I was just trying to vamp until you got back.
Which it hurts. Thank you so much. That is weird. I don't think we've had such a lag like that in a while.
I am so sorry.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that was so weird.
Thank you for being such.
Yeah, thank you for like just like I got this.
Well, because I was on my phone and you just like whipped out a slab. I'm like, oh my god, you're so awesome.
So thank you. Because for a second I thought it was your end that crashed because we were both looking at each other and the chat was still plugging and we're like, what just happened? And then both of our computers went down. We were like, oh no.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. So hi. Okay. Before anything else happens, I'm gonna ask you your first question for tonight's show. So to start us off, what do you do for work?
I am a plumber. I build multifamily construction, apartment buildings, student housing, hotels, big, sites that have hundreds and hundreds of units. And basically,
wow,
I'm in a little over my head because I haven't been plumbing that long. But I'm in charge of getting all the plumbing done. So I just have to make sure that my crews have the stuff they need and interpret plans between the builder, the general contractor, and hash out the problems that we've got to get solved. And it's always a problem every day.
Oh.
But
well,
hey, look.
One of those...
occasionally I don't even, I just roll up the job site and don't even have to get out of my truck occasionally.
Well, hey, that's got to be the better part of the day. You just got snacks and drinks on the passenger seat, and you go from there. I was gonna say, at least it's one of those jobs that like keeps you on your toes. It's not like you're like in the same rut every day.
No, but it's like the job goes in different phases. First it's underground, and then they pour the slab, then they start
Mm.
framing, and then we're running pipe. And then when everything's framed and painted and drywalled, then we're putting in fixtures. So, but it can be a little, like weeks or months at a time of doing any one particular aspect of the job. But generally speaking, yeah, it's something new every day.
Wow. Does it okay, well, so before I jump ahead, I almost jumped like six questions. um so and now going to different job sites and having something new each day to each week, um and kind of going back to the title for this episode, you're out on the road for work a lot, right?
Every week. Generally speaking, the jobs we do last anywhere from 9 months to 2 years. We'll all be in the same spot for about a year. But like for 3 weeks, 2 weeks ago, I was in another job entirely, putting out a fire for somebody that needed it. And I'll do that. I've done that
Wow.
several times to have to zip over somewhere else and hang for a week or a month or whatever.
Right, just to make sure everything's going smoothly.
Well, just help out however it's needed. But like, I
Right.
wish that it happened more often in Florida. Listen. I hated every second I was in Florida.
Oh,
Why?
It's
how
hot.
come?
It's hot. The old people don't know how to drive. God bless them. It's just I couldn't deal.
It
And I
can't be
mean,
worse than Colorado.
you've seen the internet memes, right? Florida man arrested for trying to hide his methamphetamine in a gator's mouth. I mean, I wish I was making that up. And listen,
At this point, I wouldn't deny believing it.
Rob agrees with you, and he lives there.
I was gonna say road traffic can't be better, or can't be any worse than Colorado. I think we did like a statistic where like we are the second worst compared to Los Angeles, something like that.
well, I half grew up in Florida. My old man's a lifer in the Navy, and so I lived in Pensacola 3 times for about a year and a half each time, in Jacksonville for about 2 years, all before I was
Oh.
17. I don't hate Florida. Man, I'll tell you what is this? It just turned June. June 1st or 2nd, on the job site in Atlanta, I was wearing a hoodie. It was
Mm.
cold. It was awesome. Last winter in
Mhm.
Fort Myers, I wore a hoodie 3 times, and on all 3 occasions had to remove it before 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning. I just wanted to get away from the freaking heat. And I know,
Right.
I'm getting
Yeah.
old, and a lot of people move down to Florida when they're old because they like the warm. They're crazy.
Mm.
Screaming.
Move up to Colorado. We get cold spikes all throughout summer.
I've
So
never
why did
had
you
to,
land where you are?
ma'am.
Oh, I just said, why did you land where you are?
What, back in Atlanta?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Why do you
that
live there?
job. Well, I live in Vidalia. It's a little town about halfway between Savannah and Macon, and then you go west a little. But I'm working in
Okay.
Atlanta. That's where my company is based out of. Is in a little town just northeast of Atlanta,
Wow.
northwest Cumming, Georgia. But we've got 7 or 8 big jobs going on in Atlanta at any given time.
Dang. And
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 what?
now
Go ahead. I'm
I
sorry.
was gonna say, and now you. No, you're all right. I was just gonna say, and now you bounce between all the different job sites, like
No, no, no.
regularly.
I'm on one job in Atlanta. I mean, and I'll
Oh,
be on
okay.
my job until it's done. And it's running behind schedule because we had a really rainy spring. But
Mm,
that's common in construction, beginning of a job, the weather delays you, and you just have to bust ass and make it up.
Right. And I mean, you see it all the time. It's just like one thing can put a dampen in it for like a week, and then you just have everybody come in, like, try and get it done.
Look at Gray Man to use tarmac over roadkill.
That's terrible.
But funny.
I forgot my
funny.
iPad. My iPad's in the house in Atlanta, or I'd be looking at the chat.
So has it been hard moving around so much, or do you kind of like being in different places throughout the year?
I like being on the road. It doesn't bother me at all.
Okay.
But the one bad aspect is I can't have a cat. Because cats aren't good travelers. Loki's awesome. And I'm a cat guy. Loki's the only dog I've ever had since I was a little kid, and I love him to death. He's my best friend. But before me and my wife split up, we had 3 cats, and I'd wake up every day or on the weekends when I was home with all 3 of them asleep on me. And I miss that.
That's why you send me cat memes every day.
I'll whenever I retire, I'll have one or several.
Just one?
I was gonna say or more.
Crazy cat guy.
I'm gonna end up being a crazy cat lady. I'm gonna need at least 3 cats. It's gonna happen. So Loki handles traveling really well then?
Oh, he is awesome. That drive to Fort Myers was the longest I've had, and it was the quickest I ever did it was like 6 hours and 45 minutes, but generally it took about 8, because I'd stop for gas, stop to let them out. And aside from wanting to get a little antsy and sit on my lap at some point during the trip, he's a really good traveling companion. And he has not had an accident since he was like 3 months old. And I've had to leave him in hotel rooms for 13, 14 hours at a stretch once or twice.
Dang.
He's an awesome traveling companion. And he's pretty, and everyone loves him, and he knows he's pretty. He will show off, especially for women.
Is that why you've closed the doors? Because you know that he'd be all on top of you right now?
No, I just don't. He is a shedding machine. Listen, I have an intricate system of tumbleweeds of his fur in my house and my truck, and no amount of vacuuming, no amount of brushing. You can keep up with it maybe 70% if I brush him and vacuum every day. I don't want him in here because I don't want white hair over all my books.
I feel that with my cat. She's the smallest one in the household, and somehow her fur just gets everywhere. I find her fur everywhere. I find her, like, if I haven't even, like, if I'm going to work and she's just been asleep, I will get dressed for work. I'll go to work and I'll be halfway through my shift and I'll just, like, find her hair on my shirt, and I'm like, how? I haven't even seen you today.
Oh yeah, he is every time I send a package to somebody, there's Loki hair in the tape that I put on that package every time.
So have you ever had... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Whenever somebody has to get in my truck, they'll go, holy shit, you weren't kidding. Because I'll say, look. No, go ahead.
A circumstance where you show up at a house, like a new lodge on a new job, and you have him, and whoever you're staying with just freaks out?
Oh, so listen, normally, that's not the case on this job, but normally we'll get a big house or 2, because when the crews come down, they'll stay in the house. And it might be like an underground crew is 2 to 4 guys, a rough end crew is 6 to 10, 11, 12. Same thing with the fixture crew. And everyone in construction nowadays are, we say, amigos, Latino. 90% of any job site now is Latino.
Uh-huh.
It's basically a bunch of old white guys telling a bunch of young Latinos, what needs to be done that day. That's construction.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And they're usually, God bless them, they're diminutive in stature on the whole. and Loki scares the shit out of him. And some of my crews have known Loki ever since I've had him, and they know he's friendly, and they're still scared of him.
How big
that's
is
good.
Loki?
Keeps him out of your stuff.
He's pushing about 80 pounds right now. He's not a huge dog, but he's not a small one. But
Yeah.
he loves people, and he's got no manners, and he's jumped all over you and just wants to be next to people, and that freaks some people out.
That bugs some people. Yeah. I know Cade is a dog magnet. For whatever reason, dogs love Cade, and so we have like our neighbor's dog. This dog is like one of the most disciplined dogs we've ever seen, and even he will come up and go wah and jump onto Cade, and it's a big dog. It's a big black lab.
Oh, the pain.
I think is this the signal for me to move?
Yeah,
okay, I'm
so.
moving. Hang on.
Do
Do do do do do.
do.
What's up, Sarah?
What's up?
I can't call it. I want to holla,
Yes.
but the joint's too small.
What?
Yeah, go ahead.
Go
Okay.
do your fire effects.
Okay, I'm gonna do my fire facts now. Okay. Alright, so welcome to BBA 99's Fire Facts. Whoopee! Alright, so fact number 1 is Unruly Simeon loves science fiction books. Fact 2 is Unruly Simeon was a jarhead. And fact number 3 is that a road dog is a person who travels around the world to do construction jobs. Now I have to go hit the road if you guys don't mind.
That's it? That's all you get?
Sorry.
And now I'm materializing out of the other side of the screen from which I left.
Wow.
Hello.
Did you crawl under the table?
I think so.
Yeah, my dog was asking to be let out, so I had to let him out. So, okay, but following Cade's fire facts, I know that you had mentioned that one of the things that you disliked about moving around so much was that you didn't get to have a cat. So one of my next question is, what are some of the things that you dislike about having to move so much? And then some of the things that you do like about moving around.
Well, I've got where I live. I've got some really good friends that I hardly ever get to see. That sucks. And with the pandemic, I come home on weekends and I only talk to people on the phone every now and then. So
Right.
that I dislike that. Obviously, that's what anyone would dislike about being on the road all the time. And another thing I dislike about being on the road is well, you know what? I'm being pessimistic here because basically I don't mind it. I kind of enjoy it. What I like about being on the road is, and especially my company, we rent a house, but on the first part of the job while we're looking for a house, I get to stay in good hotels, and that's always cool. And and most hotels take pets nowadays.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, that's good.
And what's amazing is I've built 3 student housing projects in the last 5 years,
Wow.
and they almost all allow pets. I mean, I think that's where we're moving as a society. That's not going to, unless you're renting from a private individual, your dog or cat is here to stay. That's what construction seems to be leaning that way as far as I can tell. I like that.
Which is good. Yeah. And I mean, just for people who travel in general who can't, afford to kennel up their dog or have someone come over and feed their cats. I have 4 cats and a dog, and we can't kennel up Donnie. He would hate it. So we usually have someone come down to the house. But for people who don't really have that option, it is nice knowing that there are places that do let pets stay.
My favorite part about being on the road is when I get home, there's usually 5 or 6 packages of good comics waiting on me.
Nice.
There you go.
So, how did you get into commenting?
Ma'am?
How did you get into comic collecting?
Oh, hell, I don't ever remember not reading them. I was, one of my uncles always had a stack. I mean, he wasn't, he doesn't read them anymore, and he wasn't a big collector, but he was, I guess when I was 5 or 6, he was 16. And so there was always comics around. And it seemed like when I was a kid, everyone read them. The girls read, Archie and Hot Stuff and Casper, and the guys read the superhero stuff. I just always had them. I just took it to an extreme. Me and the handful of friends I had, particularly like from ages 9 to about 12 or so, most of my friends were fellow comic geeks. And it's the art, because back then, and I know a lot of guys idolized like the late 60s or 70s. Man, most of those stories sucked donkey. I mean, they just weren't that good. God bless them, but there was some brilliant art. There's always been brilliant artists, and that's what I was drawn to. I don't think comics grew up until the 80s, and that's when you started getting really solid stories.
Who's your favorite character?
That's a good one.
Oh, wow. My favorite comic is the Fantastic Four. Always has been. It was, oh yeah, the original run of Kirby and Lee. I got to read them all in the original floppies. A friend of mine loaned them to me. This was in the early 70s. And then I got out of comics, and when I got back into them in the early to mid 80s, John Byrne was writing and drawing it, and it was a great comic again. But probably my favorite character, I don't know, Sandman, probably. I really love that comic, and he's not an easily lovable kind of character, but he's fascinating.
I was gonna say like Sandman. It's like that's like one of the more lesser known just villains as well as characters.
Well, no, I'm talking about the Vertigo Gaiman Sandman that came out in the 80s.
Oh, never mind. I read that wrong. I misheard that. My bad.
But there's been many iterations of the Sandman before that.
And is there a particular version that is your favorite, or is just kind of like the retelling of different artists retelling the story?
Oh, I just love that whole Gaiman run. It's sitting on my shelf behind me in omnibus form. But now I liked Kirby. When Kirby did the character for a handful of issues in the 70s, I loved it. It was cheesy. And in Gaiman's run, he brings that character back for a brief moment. You get to see what's going on.
Grayman thinks there's been 3 or 4.
Yeah, I think that's about right. There was the Golden Age Sandman. I think there was a couple of versions of that. Then there was Kirby's in the 70s, and then Gaiman in the 80s. Gaiman Sandman has nothing to do. And there was Sandman Mystery Theater too, but I'm not super familiar with that.
I actually did want to ask, now, when you move to different job sites, I mean, you have to like pack everything up and move it all over. Is that hard considering that you have, like your collection as well as just, your normal household belongings? Like, is it hard, like, having to tear it all down and then move it?
No. See, I don't have to do that. This is my home base. All I bring with me, I've got a big traveling, it's like one of those, those Tupperware containers, only they're really big, like you put clothes in.
Oh, mm-hmm.
I've got one on wheels. I fit everything I need to live for a couple of 3 weeks at a time for me and the dog, a few books, maybe, an omnibus to read. And that's how I travel. I throw it in the back of my truck and I'm gone. Up until that Fort Myers job, I was home almost every weekend. that Fort Myers job, I was only getting home every 2, 3, 4 weeks, sometimes not even that often. But now that I'm back in
Wow.
Atlanta, I'm home every Friday night and I'll leave out early Monday morning.
Yeah. Well, because when you said that you commuted to different places and you would work on these different job sites for 9 months to 12 months out of the year, I thought maybe they were having you move to be closer to the job site.
No, some guys do that. Some guys, like two years ago, we were building a hotel in Atlanta, and one of my big bosses came by the job site, and he looked at me and said, "So when are you moving to Atlanta?" I was like, "Fuck that! Why would I want to? Why would I want a mortgage or pay rent when I've got 5 acres of land paid for? My property tax every year is about $300 freaking. I'm in the middle of nowhere,
Jeez. Wow.
and my electric bill, because I'm on the road all the time, is $50 a month. Why would
Wow.
I want to throw another 3 grand worth of bills on my plate that I don't need? That's why I have money to spend on this stuff. No, no, but when I was a kid, now listen,
There
it's
you go.
interesting.
That's a pretty good way of saving.
When I was a kid, when
Do
my
you
old man
take
was a
some
lifer in
comics?
the Navy. Go ahead, ma'am.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, Gray Man wants to know if you take some comics with you.
Not unless I know I'm going to be on Grader's notes, which is pretty rare, but I will bring Omnis with me to read on the road all the time. What's up, Night Tiger? But now listen, when I was a kid, like you said, Lena, we did. My old man was a lifer in the Navy, then I was in for 4 years. So for my first 21 years, we were packing everything we owned and moving every year and a half, every 2 years. And I hated it. Hated it.
I bet.
So,
'Cause
and
you
now
get
that has, sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry I
So,
keep stepping on you.
no, I think what's happening is my Wi-Fi is still slightly spotty, so I am catching up to you a couple of seconds after you're done talking. I think that's what's happening. But so I was gonna say, so that's why you have your home base now, and is because you didn't like packing up and moving all over the place.
Oh, hell no. No, 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 no. I lived in Savannah for 25 years and loved it. I remember
Right.
when I first moved to Savannah in like 85, I was surveying, I was working with this crew, and my boss at the time grew up there, and he was about 30. And anywhere we went in town, he knew people. And I thought, man, how cool is that? You know? And after I'd been there 25 years, it was like that for me. I really enjoyed it. It's weird. You talk to military brats, and when you move all the time, you place value on having roots. But I've seen it, work the other way too. A kid that's brought up in a little town, they grow up and they want to travel and see things. I got all my world
Mm.
traveling out of the way by the time I was 21.
I bet.
So now you said that you don't really mind traveling for work. Does it slightly bug you that you're not home as much as you are because you have to go out to these job sites for a few days out of the week?
Well, I was working in a factory before I got this gig, like 8 miles from my house.
Mm.
What I love about what I'm doing now is I'm making mad money, compared to working in the factory. I'm literally bringing home 3.5 times what I was, and I was getting by okay
Wow.
on that. So,
Right.
I'll be on the road as long as they keep
So I
paying.
mean, now, and I got to imagine that driving around it's got to be pretty scenic and pretty relaxing. I mean, I know that driving can be sometimes really stressful, but I mean, do you find it relaxing to drive to place to place?
Yeah, and it depends on the length of the drive. That drive to Fort Myers got to be a drag because by the time
Mm.
you hit Tampa, it's ugly traffic.
Mm.
But now most of these jobs, I prefer it when I'm not on the interstate. You know what I'm saying? That's what I like. But I don't mind interstate driving. I just hate 2-lane highways. And that was the cool thing about Florida. That 75 straight shot is 3 to 4 lanes the whole way, so the traffic moves. But I'm just one of those guys. I figure the more people I put in my rearview mirror, the quicker I'm going to get there. I set my cruise control on 85, and I hope I never have to touch a brake.
Wow. Yeah. What would you say has been either your craziest job for job site that you've had to go work at, or just like one of your craziest commutes? Like, what is like one of the nuttiest things that's happened?
All right, I did a job in Clemson 3-4 years ago. It was right after they won the national championship the first time. And there's no interstate between my house and Clemson. It's all 2-lane roads. And there was this one section about halfway there that's really curvy and really hilly, and they were working on widening the road.
Oh no.
And like I said, I don't drive slow. And sure enough, every time I get to that freaking little 8 or 9 mile stretch, there'd be some idiot in front of me doing 45. And I would risk my life on a weekly basis to pass them, because it just frustrates me so bad sitting behind somebody doing 40 and knowing I got to do that for the next 10 miles. I can't do it. I'm constitutionally incapable of doing it.
She's looking at me because we just took a long
So
drive
yeah,
today.
we went up to okay, so I'm in the Littleton area, which is a little bit lower from Denver City. So like if you're looking on the map, like Littleton's like a little bit like to like the bottom left. Well, we were driving up to Fort Collins. We hit Loveland, which is like right before Fort Collins. And it was a little over an hour drive, and we had to be on I-25 for the majority of the way there. And you were not appreciative of the drivers.
Well, the speed limit's 75,
Mm-hmm.
and I kept getting stuck behind
Like people doing like
slow people.
55.
Oh no, see, that's why I need twin machine guns mounted on the hood of my car. Rocket launchers.
That'd be
the whole
amazing.
yard.
A tank.
I always imagine just like the satisfactory boot that sits on the front of a car. So when someone's like just being way too slow or like drifting or whatever, you just like whack them aside. Is
George-
that so wrong? Is that
No, it's
wrong
not
to
wrong.
imagine?
George Carlin
It's
had a
amazing how many
routine.
people can't stay in their own darn lane.
Oh yeah, it is. It's
What was
amazing.
that?
It's amazing. And here's the deal. And I would like to pass this message along to America. If you're being passed on your right, you're in the wrong fucking lane. Move over.
Amen.
Yeah, I think that's the note to end it on. Just if you're getting past in the right lane, don't drive in the... Okay.
Oh, that's amazing.
I think that's the note to end that on. And it connects back cuz roads. So I mean there you go. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for carrying the beginning few minutes because our Wi-Fi decided to be evil. So
And
thank
it's
you.
still being bad. We're so choppy. I'm so
I
sorry,
know.
guys.
Well, and that's why I didn't mean to keep stepping on your toes, is because, like, I think I'm catching up to your audio. So you would be done talking. I'm like, and then you start talking, and I'm like, oh, wait a minute. I think I'm lagging.
Everybody agrees with you, though. Everybody.
Yes. You want, there's like laughing. Everybody's like, yes.
Everybody's like, yup.
You know, we were on the highway today. There was at least one truck and one little minivan that was like over the line and back over the line. We had one guy who did a illegal pass over like the highway was splitting like this, and he had started to go this way, realized he was on the wrong side, and cut across the lanes to get back onto this side of the road again.
I see that
That's
every
horrible.
day in Atlanta. Every day.
I bet.
Somebody realizing, oh shit, that's my exit.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us and for sitting through all of our little goofy topics and segues.
Thank you for
off of
saving
the
the show.
I know, God, thank you. It was bad. Thank you to everyone who stayed with us and enjoyed. I'm glad that we were making a lot of people laugh, especially right at the end. All I see is just the spam of a bunch of laugh emojis. So, thank you so much, and I think, as always, we will see you all later!